The world is about to get stranger than you think. Last week we talked about re-enchanting the world by bringing symbols and bringing meaning to the things around us. Whether it's our favourite t-shirt, whether it's a painting or a picture, or whether it is just how we organise and routine ourselves through the day. These things symbolise, they remind us to do things. Now, we're stepping more into that. We're starting to really step away from the kind of mass materialist economy where everything was mass produced in China, essentially. And we're trying to step into this thing where now things do start having meaning and there's a story to tell. I got this one from a holiday. I got this one from a friend. Whatever it is, we're starting to enrich our lives with these things. And it helps build us. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. I encouraged you to do it last week. I'm totally encouraging you to do it. But it leads us to a strange space as that starts to really instantiate itself into the self and therefore the social space. Because if we are not only to leave materialism behind, but if we are to leave individualism behind, it gets strange. Because now you no longer have individual symbols where this means something to me. Now you have collective symbols where it means something to us, and we all know where that goes. So, what are we going to do with that? Okay, well, why are we going to do it in the first place? Just why? We're going to have to, and we'll probably be forced there, essentially. Why are we going to have to? Because we need to reintegrate, we need to refamiliarize ourselves with nature for our own mental health. We need to refamiliarize ourselves with each other. We need to have serious conversations about the whole meta crisis, everything that's going up and down and all over the place, whether it's war, whether it's immigration, whether it's communities dissolving, whether it is population collapse, which is my favourite one. We're going to want to have real conversations about this. To have real conversations about this, we are going to need to come together in a space for a purpose. And that is a symbol. We come together where and for what purpose? Okay, now that space symbolises this is the place where we talk about population or food or war, whatever it is. 2, we might be forced to come into these spaces because maybe if AI takes half the jobs, we'll be looking for meaning rather than the function of like a 9-to-5 job. Now, this is very much a Western idea or a Western problem. In the East, they have philosophy much more integrated into their sense of what meaning is, a meaning in life. Now, that doesn't mean that they've been able to avoid modernity bringing a population collapse. Like, still hasn't explained that one or avoided that one. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and pretend as if it's ideal either. But it's definitely something we learned from in the fact that nihilism hasn't necessarily touched the East as much as it has the West. And also, when you take the Westerner's job away from him or her, their sense of purpose and meaning just goes to zero. Not saying that everyone doesn't need a job, but finding meaning in life outside of your job is something that we are not good at. So if half the jobs go, we might need to start looking at what meaning means. Now, we can already see this in the fact that we can see on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else that building cabins and having these homesteads and having this, like, living this nice life, this influencer market is growing. For what reason? Like, what are people finding there? It is a better way of living outside of the rat race. That's what people are looking for. So, as that progresses, and let's not forget, as AI really comes online and we start being able to make movies just by typing it in, because AI is getting stronger and stronger, you're going to get it supercharged financially because of this being an American election and stuff like that, and just the amount of money that does go into that and also goes into trying to hijack that. So there's just going to be a lot of money in the AI kind of imagery space. So it'll get far stronger very quickly, which means that we're going to have access to storytelling abilities that we just did not have before. And if we are talking as storytellers, symbolism is the currency. So in that world, it's a bit strange. Okay, fair. So there's like a few different sides to this. One, keep it on the technology side. Okay, Grant, we become great storytellers, we become archetypal in our characters, we become symbolic in the items that are used, and it becomes this absolute, like, amazing storytelling. I can assure you it will be fascinating to see what comes out. And people will come together around this and will have their favorite stories and favorite characters and their favorite archetypes. I'm a hero, I'm a magician, I'm a jester, or whatever else. Or they'll just maybe identify as a jester today and not tomorrow. Who knows? But so you'll have all of that on the tech side. Cool. Will you have community? I don't know. Okay, on the nature side, going around to your local forest, going around to your local farm perhaps, going to your local mountains, your local rivers, your local lakes, to have certain topics discussed, whether it is letting go of grief or it is opening ourselves up to love. Now, again, historically this was done at the pulpit in a church, where the story would be told, and for the week this was the philosophy that you had to kind of keep in mind when you're walking around. Okay, so it's, judgment today, it's community the next week, it's the forgiveness the next week, it is let he without sin cast the first stone the next week, it is Moses in the desert the next week, or whatever else. But whether we recapture that, I don't know, and I don't think so. I think it's going to be in story and it's going to be really powerful. And it's not to say that that's not a powerful story. The religions are the powerful stories, in my opinion, and I do view them that way, so I apologize if that offends anyone. But stories help you look at the world in a certain way. I think if I do offend anyone, I think I can probably find middle ground. I'm really not trying to offend anyone there. I do believe that that's quite a powerful thing. But I just don't see people coming back to that. Not in the way that's needed. I don't think that those traditions have the healing capacities in them anymore, because they used to let go of all of this grief that's going to be necessary for changing the way we live, because there's going to be a lot of grief on that path. We become less, there's less surplus energy around us, there's less consumerism, less materialism, less busying ourselves with entertainment, and more community, and the big shift around that. What do I have to let go for that to happen, and also what's left of me if that happens, and all of that. If the world shifts in a big turn, a hairpin turn, there's going to be a lot of grief. And I just don't think that the religions have that kind of somatic healing, like breathwork healing, or energy releases, or screaming at the top of a mountain, those type things where it's just tapping into the primal energy. Agree or disagree, I don't know, but the rough space is still kind of the same. Reconnecting with nature, symbolically, how are we going to get back there? Are we we just passed St. Bridget's Day? Did you make a St. Bridget's Day cross? That's getting in with nature in a religious fashion. If so, great. Do you have the palm leaves? Do you have all of these different things connecting to nature? Maybe. But symbolism with nature is also going to be really important. And then there's going to be symbolism with each other. Now, this is where the archetypes start getting a bit strange. This is where the performance side of of the world starts to get strange. This is where the masculine and feminine, like that tension that's there at the moment where it's not being met, or, you know, every guy is trying to be a nice guy, including myself. I do not mean to cast any stones here, but not wanting to offend the feminine, and the feminine's trying to be very strong and independent and not need the man. And that's, so now it's kind of like this blank, this level playing field, we'll put it in those terms. And symbolically, where does that leave? Like, where does that go? How do you create the tension for romance? How do you create the tension for building a family and all of the rest? How do you, like, okay, take it out of romance, then put it into a community. How do you create the tension for someone being the authority, someone being the jester, someone being the scientist, someone being the nature just kook, someone being the community everyman that holds everyone together, someone being the outlaw who's willing to stand toe to toe with the tyranny or with the less pretty sides of the community, whatever it is. Okay, so here's a good phrase: we do not get rewarded for the person we are, we get rewarded for the role that we play. So in this world of symbols, it is going to be very strange. Let's recap. We have the tech symbols, the symbols that are going to happen because of AI and because we're going to talk in those terms. Whether it's celebrity gossip again, or whether it's TV shows and movies, or whatever it is. I do think once we're able to make our own movies that it will very much be this kind of AI art form of exchanging, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, getting back in touch with nature, becoming more... Food security might become like an important thing where we grow our own stuff, or just nature might become important because it's kind of dying around us, and we need to I don't know, help that, reroute that. The fact that 70% of the insects have died off in the last 40 years or something like that is ridiculous. But whatever, that is for someone else's video. That's not what we do here in this channel. So, but just, okay, symbolism to get us to re-engage with nature in a more garden-friendly way. Beautiful. And then the symbolism for getting us to re-engage into community, and for that to be a positive experience and not a tribal experience. The world is going to be very strange. So, this is the point. For all three of those, where I'm going to plug the workshops, talking about the virtues. Oh yes, because the only philosophy that enjoys the difference between you and me, where we come together to talk about courage or acceptance, less acceptance might be a good one for here. The only place where we can come together and talk about acceptance and have our differences and value each other for our differences is in a place where tension is rewarded. That is the workshops. You are in a group of 3 or 4 people and you each hold the tension, and then there's like a space in the middle where you feel what the virtue is. It's amazing. Okay, yeah, that's on the community setting. Re-enchanting and reclaiming a relationship with nature, again, I think the virtues are really important there. Just for vitality and for humility and for acceptance and for wisdom. All of these things, these are the reasons why I keep going back to nature. Here are the 30 different virtues, and here are the 30 different plants that symbolize each of these things to me. It just, for me, that's maybe a personal one. But, so community, tension, I think it's going to be vital there. Also, for your AI art, supercharged, inspired worlds, what are you talking about? You're always talking about the virtues somehow. You're talking about how funny this comedian was. You're talking about how playful they were, how creative they were. You're talking about how just they are, even though they're being playful. You're talking about how accepting they are of the crowd when they talk and how they were playful then. All of these things, it comes down to virtues. So enriching your language around virtues, enriching your felt sense of what these virtues are, I think if you want to either talk about kind of about the online world or the world of popularity, a media world, or whether you're trying to create your own movie using AI art, which again will probably be around the end of this year or next year. So I think to have a vital sense of what each of these virtues are will invigorate any sort of creative endeavor you have in that space. There's my sales pitch. It's going to be a strange world. Everything is going to be moving. The only thing that will not move is the fact that you will still want to be wise. You will still want to be humble and authentic. You will still want to be tenacious. You don't want to let go. You want to keep going. You want to be courageous. You want all of these things, and you will still want all of these things even when you're 60, even when you're 70. Plan out that far. The world's going to be a totally different place. And that's the first time we've ever had that. The rate of change has only gotten faster. It is now at a dizzying pace. I think having something steady, knowing that this thing will still be there in 10, 20, 30 years, 100 years for the next generation, but I won't put that on top of you. Just plan for your own life at the moment, but 10 years, you will still want to be these things. Building a relationship with them, not wasted time. So, that's it for this week. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you are looking forward to the week to come. And how excited are we for this year to come? I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.